A $24 million mansion on Billionaire's Island next to Jeff Bezos and Tom Brady. An art collection worth over $25 million scattered across limestone walls bathed in natural light. She once owned her own fashion brand, sold in major chains from Nordstrom to Macy's. But Ivanka Trump is not just the daughter of Donald Trump, not an Instagram icon, not a Melania copy. Ivanka is a chapter of contradictions, a mother of three, and a former senior advisor to the White House. In a family where the name Trump is often synonymous with noise, she has chosen control and silence. And that, more than anything, is what keeps people asking, who is she, really? And why is her life so different? This isn't just a story about wealth. It's about power, style, and a quiet kind of savvy rarely seen in Hollywood or Washington. Let's take a closer look at Ivanka Trump. Do you think a girl born into luxury could never understand pain? Look back at Ivanka Trump at age 9, when Time magazine named her father Man of the Year, and all she wished for was that her family would stop making the front page every morning. In the golden glow of Trump Tower, there was once a little girl who learned to hide her sadness, just to survive. Ivanka Marie Trump was born in Manhattan, New York, in 1981, the first daughter of Donald and Ivana Trump. Her childhood home was nestled inside the family's iconic skyscraper, Trump Tower. Inside that apartment was everything one might imagine about opulence: velvet-covered walls, crystal chandeliers, and 24-karat gold furnishings. But nothing could hide the truth. From a young age, Ivanka lived under the flash of cameras. Not the warmth of affection, but the scrutiny of public attention. While her peers played in parks, Ivanka was learning how to sit with perfect posture at parties, attended by Andy Warhol and Michael Jackson. She wasn't allowed to talk too much, not allowed to cry, not allowed to do anything attention-seeking. A child who hadn't yet figured out who she was had to learn how to represent an entire empire. In 1990, the divorce between Donald and Ivana Trump became one of the most sensational stories in America. The media reported on it daily. Personal details, from Donald's affair with Marla Maples to multi-million-dollar asset disputes, were repeated relentlessly. Ivanka was just 9 years old. No one asked how she felt. They only asked what the Trump kid thought when her mother cried on TV and her father appeared with another woman. In her memoir, The Trump Card, Ivanka shared that she learned about her parents' divorce not from family, but from the newspapers. At school, she was met with piercing questions from classmates. Do your parents still love each other? Questions no child should have to answer. She once referred to her father as Mr. Trump during their brief phone calls, perhaps a way to keep distance or to remind herself not to expect closeness. People used to think Ivanka was snobbish, a former classmate recalled, but the truth is, she was just really quiet, as if she was learning how to protect herself in a world with no privacy. To shield her from the media frenzy and pressure, Ivanka was sent to Choate Rosemary Hall, a prestigious boarding school in Connecticut. There, everyone knew who she was, and precisely because of that, no one truly knew who she was. She often ate lunch alone, not because no one invited her, but because the name Trump made every relationship complicated. She once signed up to be in a school play, then withdrew, not from lack of confidence, but from fear that the press would show up and disrupt the entire class. Instead, she chose ballet, a quiet art form where every emotion could be expressed through movement, without speaking a word. At the same time, Paris Hilton, another famous heiress, embraced life under the flashing lights and tabloids. But Ivanka chose a different path. She buried herself in her studies. In economics and finance classes, she didn't rely on the Trump name for favors. She relied on effort. "Some say I succeeded because my father is Donald Trump," she once said. "But if you were me, you'd understand that this name doesn't make things easier. It makes you work twice as hard to prove yourself." In 2004, Ivanka graduated from the Wharton School at the University of Pennsylvania with an economics degree, cum laude, an achievement many dream of, even without the weight of the Trump name. She later said that throughout college, she tried to live as normally as possible. No limousines, no bodyguards, no special treatment. Many of us have lived in someone else's shadow. For Ivanka, that shadow was so big most people thought she'd never escape it. But she didn't take the easy route. She chose a different direction, leaving behind the catwalk for a far tougher world. Boardrooms, negotiations, and million-dollar deals. What makes a girl who once graced the cover of a fashion magazine choose to step into the ruthless world of business and politics? What drives an heiress born into luxury to walk away from the spotlight and into the boardroom? For Ivanka Trump, the answer doesn't lie in fame, but in her desire to prove she is her own person, not just a shadow bearing the Trump name. From the catwalk to the boardroom. In her 20s, Ivanka Trump was a sought-after model. She appeared on the cover of 17, walked for Versace, and was often compared to the top supermodels of the time. With her height of 5 feet 11 inches, cool demeanor, and prestigious background, Ivanka could have easily gone further in the international fashion world, but she chose to walk away from it all. In 2005, Ivanka officially joined the Trump Organization, her family's company, as an executive. It was not an easy path. Working in Donald Trump's company meant that every decision, every success or failure was placed under a microscope. She wasn't just an employee, she was a Trump. "People always thought I had special privileges," she once shared. "But the truth is, I always had to work twice as hard to be seen as equal." Proving herself with multi-million-dollar projects. Her first major turning point came when Ivanka led the project to renovate the old post office pavilion in Washington, D.C., a historic building just a few blocks from the White House. Under her leadership, the project transformed into the Trump International Hotel, a luxury hotel valued at $200 million. The project not only brought in profits, but also won awards for architectural preservation. Next came the deal for the Doral Resort and Spa in Miami, where Ivanka helped acquire it at a price below market value, using tough negotiation strategies. No one was calling her the cute Trump daughter in the office anymore. Now she was a full-fledged negotiator, sharp, calm, and unafraid of confrontation. Fashion, a statement for the modern woman. Not limiting herself to real estate, in 2007 Ivanka launched her own fashion brand, focused on office wear for women. These were products aimed at elegance and practicality, from form-fitting dresses to durable high heels, designed to help women feel confident in their everyday work lives. The brand quickly expanded to hundreds of stores, from Nordstrom to Macy's. Ivanka once said that she designed for women who could go to work, give presentations, and win. And that image became a symbol. Like many of us, starting with doubts from others, Ivanka turned whispered criticisms into motivation, to build not just a brand, but a living statement. Politics, where she had to prove more than just a name. In 2016, Ivanka joined her father's presidential campaign. While many advisors chose a confrontational path, Ivanka brought a softer, more reasoned approach, helping make paid maternity leave a standout issue in a platform that had been criticized for its lack of depth. When she entered the White House as senior advisor, Ivanka led the Women's Global Development and Prosperity (WGDP) initiative, partnering with the World Bank to assist 50 million women globally by 2025. She was not a professional politician like Chelsea Clinton, who had a PhD from Oxford and had worked for McKinsey. But Ivanka chose a different path: business, politics, and real-world experience. She did not have the favor of academics, only a name that was always scrutinized. And yet, she kept moving forward. When scandals hit, she stepped back to protect her image. In 2017, Ivanka received 3 trademarks in China during a sensitive period, coinciding with President Xi Jinping's visit to the US. Although there was no evidence of wrongdoing, the public quickly raised questions about potential conflicts of interest. Just 1 year later, she shut down her fashion brand. A surprising decision, but one that reflected a clear choice: prioritizing personal image and public service work over commercial profits, wealth, and leaving her family's shadow behind. By 2021, Ivanka and Jared Kushner had built an estimated net worth of $800 million, largely from real estate investments, financial funds, and personal branding. From a girl once labeled as the Trump daughter, Ivanka proved success is not made by a name. It's made by actions that people remember. So how does a woman who once shut down her brand to protect her values, who stood at the eye of the media storm, live now? It's not just million-dollar homes. It's spaces where, just by stepping inside, you can tell you're close to someone who is unlike anyone else. Have you ever wondered what the daily life of a woman who was once a senior advisor at the White House, owned a multi-million-dollar brand, and built a fortune of nearly $800 million looks like? For Ivanka Trump, every space she inhabits, every choice she makes, not only carries great value, but also bears her personal signature: sophisticated, discreet, and entirely unique. Indian Creek Island, a $24 million villa on the most private island in America. No paparazzi, no noise, just a few dozen oceanfront villas surrounded by a golf course and guarded 24/7 by patrol boats. Indian Creek Island is where Ivanka Trump and Jared Kushner chose to settle after their time at the White House. In 2021, they purchased a $24 million villa here, which was then fully renovated in a coastal minimalism style, with energy-efficient glass, white oak flooring, and interiors in beige, gray, and natural stone tones. No logos, no glitz, just open spaces, natural light, and tranquility. The master bedroom faces the sea, with light linen curtains, cool stone floors, and a freestanding bathtub in the center of the room. Behind the garden, there's a small yoga studio where Ivanka meditates each morning, reads, and maintains a gentle exercise routine. The open kitchen features a Carrara marble countertop, built-in appliances, and an automatic pure water filtration system, where she prepares breakfast with her daughter every weekend. These moments, unphotographed, not shared on social media, are what she considers true luxuries. Trump Park Avenue penthouse, luxury living in the heart of Manhattan. Before moving to Florida, Ivanka lived in a $16 million penthouse at Trump Park Avenue, right in the heart of Manhattan. The apartment is over 5,000 square feet, with ceilings over 11 feet high, dark oak herringbone floors, and white paneled walls. From the living room windows, she could see Central Park and the cars along Madison Avenue. But what stood out the most was her personal office, where drafts of the Trump card, a signed copy of Women Who Work, and a subtly powerful abstract painting by Dan Colin were displayed. The bookshelves in the room didn't hold decorative books, but those she actually read: business strategy, leadership, and mindfulness books. She once said, "Living in New York, I learned to keep inner silence to avoid getting swept up in the outside noise." Kalorama Villa, the balance between politics and personal life. While serving as a senior advisor at the White House, Ivanka and Jared lived in the Kalorama neighborhood, once home to Barack Obama and Jeff Bezos. They rented a $5.5 million villa, nearly 7,000 square feet, with 6 bedrooms, a library, a French-style garden, and space dedicated for informal meetings. Here, Ivanka maintained a private family life. In the evenings, when phones were set aside, she baked, read to her children, or wrote handwritten letters. The kitchen wasn't large, but incredibly refined. Skylights, tidy interiors, and carefully arranged cooking utensils in color order. She once shared with a trusted journalist, "Working at the White House doesn't mean you have to live like you're on a podium. Here, I live as a mother, a daughter, and an ordinary woman." From Manhattan to Miami, every place Ivanka lives is a composition of calm and control. But luxury doesn't just lie in the address. It's also in the details as she moves between destinations. The cars she drives are not chosen to impress, but to express her personal lifestyle. Mercedes-Benz 220 SE Ponton, when classic becomes a statement. No noise, no speed, the Mercedes-Benz 220 SE Ponton in Ivanka's garage is a rare choice in the 21st century. This classic model, produced in the late 1950s, symbolizes post-war European luxury. Round headlights, thick steel body, original 3-pointed star logo, and a gently curving roofline, like handwritten script. Ivanka fully restored the interior with Italian leather, preserved the mechanical clock system, and added no modern technology. No Bluetooth, no rear-view camera, no touchscreen. Only the sound of the engine, the scent of real leather, and the weighty steering feel. Exactly the car for those who aren't in a hurry. She only drives it on private occasions, taking her children to school early in the morning when the city is still quiet, or going to a private meeting with a longtime friend. It's not a mode of transportation, but a personal statement wrapped in steel and 4 slowly rolling wheels. Chevrolet Suburban and GMC Yukon, strength doesn't lie in the brand. As a mother of 3 young children and a former White House advisor, Ivanka also needs vehicles that are powerful, safe, and discreet. The 2 SUVs she relies on are the Chevrolet Suburban and GMC Yukon, each worth $60,000 to $80,000, specially customized by federal security teams. Not as flashy as a Range Rover, not as businesslike as a Cadillac Escalade, but that's what makes them truly reflect Ivanka. Practical, efficient, and not needing to stand out to prove their value. The cars are equipped with bulletproof glass, dark leather interiors that are easy to clean, an integrated air purification system, and spacious trunks large enough to hold luggage for a long family vacation. On many trips, Ivanka sits in the back, working on her iPad or reading silently, transforming the vehicle into a mobile, nameless office. But there are things even quieter than the engine, like unpriced paintings, unshared habits, and a lifestyle carefully curated down to the smallest detail. For Ivanka Trump, luxury is not only found in tangible assets, it's also present in the way she lives. Each day, each choice, each moment of silence is intentional. Art collection. The silence of beauty. Ivanka and Jared own a $25 million art collection, featuring works by Nate Lohman, Dan Colin, Alex Israel, and other contemporary names. But unlike many collectors who display their art publicly, these pieces are scattered throughout their living spaces, along hallways, dining rooms, or corners of the study, seemingly whispering to their owners. simple pleasures, rich in taste. Arranging flowers is one of Ivanka's discreet hobbies. She often arranges bouquets of white tulips or soft-colored peonies herself and places them in living spaces, not to impress, but as a quiet reminder. No matter how fast the world spins, there's still a need for a calm corner to feel. She also maintains her health regularly with home yoga, morning walks around the garden, and simple rituals like essential oil diffusions and warm water in the morning. Not extravagant, but consistent, like the rhythm of her inner life. Travel, more private than flashy. Ivanka has been spotted in Aspen, the Caribbean, but rarely shares photos. Her trips are usually about escaping the spotlight and enjoying quality time with her family, in a mountain cabin or a resort without social media. For her, privacy is also a form of luxury. Gym and health, consistent, not showy. Her villa always includes a small home gym where there's a treadmill, yoga ball, and resistance bands. Every morning, Ivanka exercises lightly for about 30 minutes, not to lose weight, but to maintain a steady pace, like breathing. She also keeps the habit of drinking warm lemon water every morning, avoids strong caffeine, and uses gentle essential oils in the evening. No five-star spa rooms, but her body and mind are nurtured with quiet discipline. Sophisticated living. No need to prove anything. Ivanka doesn't change outfits every week. She reuses many old clothes from her own brand, mostly neutral-colored suits, simple long dresses, and shoes without logos. She doesn't chase trends because strong women don't need to prove anything with clothes. Every item she chooses, from the sofa to the notepads, is minimalist yet high quality. It's luxury that doesn't shine, but makes you look closely. Living spaces are meant for connection, not show. On weekends, Ivanka often puts her phone aside, turns off emails, and spends all her time with her family. They read, paint, bake. She once said, "Success is not about how much you accomplish. It's about knowing when to stop to do something truly meaningful." But even those who live in multi-million-dollar villas and drive classic cars can't avoid life's storms. And Ivanka, even as discreet as she is, has been the center of scandals no powerful woman would ever want. But even when everything is meticulously arranged to the point of perfection, there are still moments when life goes beyond control. And Ivanka, even as discreet as she is, has been the center of controversies no powerful woman would ever want. For Ivanka Trump, every mistake is magnified under the national spotlight. In a world where the name Trump is always controversial, she cannot avoid being thrust into the eye of the storm, even though she chooses to live a private life, meticulously controlling every detail of her existence. In 2018, Ivanka faced criticism for using her personal email to handle some matters in her role as a White House advisor. The American media quickly brought up Hillary Clinton's 2016 email scandal, sparking a wave of comparisons between the two powerful women. Ivanka did not deny the allegations, but explained that it was a clerical error and promised to address it. She proactively handed over the data, cooperated with the investigation, and assured that no classified information was leaked. Like many who have made mistakes and faced criticism, she learned to face it with calm and responsibility. There were no defensive statements, no blaming others. She simply continued attending the G20 months later, still taking her children to school, as if to remind everyone that the scandal wouldn't hold her back. In another sensitive situation, in April 2017, Ivanka received 3 trademarks from China. At the same time, she was welcoming President Xi Jinping at Mar-a-Lago alongside her father. Public opinion raised questions. Was she using her political influence for business purposes? The answer did not come from a press conference or a justification, but from a clear action. Less than 2 years later, she announced the closure of her entire fashion brand. The brand had once generated hundreds of millions in revenue, but she chose to let it go to avoid any conflicts of interest. I am proud of what the brand accomplished, but now it is time for me to focus on my work at the White House and my role as a mother, she said in a statement. Giving up $1 million brand to protect her integrity is something few would do, but for Ivanka, a person who embraces a minimalist and long-term approach to life, this decision was the clearest proof of how she prioritized personal values over commercial glory. In January 2021, amid the Capitol riot, Ivanka posted a tweet calling the protesters patriots. Just minutes later, she deleted the tweet, but the image had already spread, creating a misconception that she supported the extremist actions. Unlike the intense reactions of her father, Ivanka chose to retreat from the media, call for peace, and ceased public appearances for several weeks. There were no clarifying statements, no attempts to soothe the media. She quietly disappeared, as if acknowledging the mistake, and showing that silence can sometimes be the most mature response. Scandals were never something she sought, but when faced with them, Ivanka neither avoided nor retaliated. She did not go down the confrontational path, nor did she try to manipulate the story. Instead, she chose to clarify the situation and move on to a new chapter, quietly but not weakly. In her approach to crisis management, one can see not only the cool-headedness of a political advisor, but also the strength of a woman who understands that the most important thing is to maintain balance, even when everything around her seems to be tipping over. Beyond the sensational headlines, what does Ivanka leave behind? Not just assets or reputation, but an inspiring legacy. From initiatives for women to steadfastness in the face of challenges. And it is precisely in the way she steps out of the media storms that the true value she leaves behind begins to become clearer. What has Ivanka Trump achieved after the spotlight and storms? A legacy that is not just about wealth, but about creating change for millions of people. At the White House, Ivanka led the Women's Global Development and Prosperity Initiative, WGDP, partnering with the World Bank to empower 50 million women by 2025. The program was implemented in over 60 countries, funding hundreds of millions of dollars for vocational training, legal reforms, and financial support for women entrepreneurs. In 2019 alone, more than $300 million was allocated from both federal budgets and the private sector to support these initiatives. Ivanka also funded and promoted Girl Up, a United Nations initiative supporting girls in over 120 countries. Additionally, she supported educational programs for children in the U.S., prioritizing underserved communities. These contributions were not tied to political campaigns or brand strategies, but came from a personal philosophy. True success is enabling others to succeed. In the investment sector, Ivanka, along with her husband, owns a fortune valued at approximately $740 million, including a $24 million mansion on Indian Creek Island, a residence next to Jeff Bezos, commercial buildings in New York, and promising tech startups. However, what's notable is that she uses her wealth to support education and communities, quietly, without the need to prove anything. While many wealthy people keep their assets to themselves, Ivanka uses hers to support women and children around the world, through education, entrepreneurship, healthcare, and life skills development. There is no accompanying promotional campaign. No need for her name on a golden plaque. She is also the author of 2 books, The Trump Card and Women Who Work, sharing her experiences on career, time management, and motherhood in the modern world. While not market-shaking bestsellers, these books are regarded as a relatable voice for millions of women balancing work and personal life. Ivanka has been recognized in Forbes' 100 Most Powerful Women list, Fortune's 40 Under 40, and as one of the young global leaders selected by the World Economic Forum. But, for her, these titles are less important than knowing that her daughter is growing up in a world where women can be both strong and gentle, without having to choose between the two. Like many of us who strive to leave something meaningful, Ivanka reminds us that a legacy is not just about wealth. It's about the change you create. Because sometimes, what people remember about you isn't the position you once held, but the values you leave behind, quietly, yet with a lasting impact.